Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Though Krishna is the son of Vasudeva, he is the slayer of Karna Chanura. He is also the source of bliss, the reason for joy for Devaki. But more importantly, he is also the Jagat Guru. None of the avatars before Krishna avatar talked about spirituality, dharma, day-to-day rules of life, and how to attain paramgati with the detail that Krishna has given. Avatars happen for several reasons. One of them is, as you know, Shishta Rakshana. Other is Dushta Shikshana. Other is Dharma Stapana, Veda Poshana, Satya Bodhana. But all the activities of avatar are based on the time, place and situation. If you look at the Kruta Yuga, the sadhus, the rishis who were being troubled by the demons, avatars came in different forms. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narahari, Vamana. Because that time, that place, that situation demanded that they should come in those forms. And you know the story of the avatars. They majorly did Veda Poshana, Bhakta Rakshana, Dushta Shikshana. But rarely did they do Satya Bodhana. If you come to Ramavatar also, in the Treta Yuga, there was Dushta Shikshana, there was Shishta Rakshana going on. In a way, Veda Poshana also. But more importantly, Satya Bodhana did not happen in that Yuga also. In Krishna Avatar, in Dwapar Yuga, this is the uniqueness. While Veda Poshana would have happened, must have happened, Dushta Shikshana must have happened, has happened, Shishta Rakshana has happened. You know, he killed Kamsa only and saved his own parents who were his first devotees, who had the first darshan of Krishna as the divine being. His own parents. His parents were the first devotees, so he did the Shishta Rakshana. And Kamsa, who was the cause of their sorrow, he did the Dushta Shikshana. And then there are a series of demons were sent to kill him. And each of them he slayed, he killed and made them ultimately become free from the bondage of birth and death. There is a story behind each demon as to why they became demons, why they came and attacked Krishna, and how he ultimately redeemed them. But very, very importantly, in Krishna's time, we see Satya Bodhana. First time, the avatar took the role of a teacher. Before that, we do not see it in such measures. Small discourses, small advices, here and there, definitely. But this kind of an elaborate teaching on the ultimate reality of the self, of the matters related to dharma, of the day-to-day living and life, were first time described by Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita is nothing but his whole treatise of all the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, everything put together. Bhagavad Gita becomes the Satya Bodhana, the ultimate teaching of Krishna. And therefore, Rama was not called as Jagat Guru. None of the avatars of Treta Yuga were called Jagat Gurus, but Krishna first time received the title of Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru, because he taught this Gita just not for Arjuna, but for all the people of the world. This Gita is valid, it's applicable, is useful to everyone in the world, whoever he or she might be. So therefore, it is meant for the whole of the world. He became the teacher of the whole world. And that is why Krishna is called Jagat Guru. And we saw his teaching skills yesterday, day before. How kind, how compassionate, how considerate he is to Arjuna. Arjuna, who is full of doubts, who has several questions, who has several dilemmas, he does not know how to go about it. And Krishna has already spent 11 chapters explaining to Arjuna, and even given the Vishwarupa Darshanam to him just a while ago. By that time, many teachers should have been done with teaching. 11 chapters I taught you the truth, still you are asking questions. But yet Krishna said, all right, as long as I have a good Shishya who is sincere, who really wants to know the truth. Therefore, I will teach you. And he continued with the 12th chapter as well. So, Arjuna as a qualified student who wants to know the truth, who is sincere, and Krishna as the compassionate, considerate teacher make us definitely the most wonderful pair of a teacher and a student. Krishna explained to Arjuna between the two types of devotion, the one who worships me as Nirakara versus the one who worships me as Sakara. Easier is the path of the Sakara Bhakti, Saguna Bhakti, who think of me as this form and attach their mind, completely absorb their buddhi, and with great Shraddha, who worship me, it is easier for them, and therefore it is easier for them to attain me. Whereas those who worship the Nirakara form also will ultimately attain me only, provided they are those who have Samabuddhi or Sarvabhuta Hiterata. They have Sanniyam Yendriya Gramam, they have sense control. So they have followed all the paths of Yama, Niyama, Pratyahara, everything. That is the Nirguna path. If you followed that, meditated on me, you also would come to me. But between the two, I'll give you the shortcut to solve the problem. This is the shortcut of solving the big puzzle. Meditate on me as a Sagunakara, as the Akara Bhakti. It is easier for you, faster for you. He is a compassionate teacher. He says this problem can be solved in the long way, in the short way, both. I'll give you equal marks for both. Why don't you try the short way, easier way? Many teachers are there, mathematics teachers are there, they are very considerate. They tell them there is a long way, short way, you get the same marks for both. So he taught him the sure and short way. Not just the short way, sure way also. Easier way. And then he went on to explain to him that best is if you can absorb your mind in me, buddhi in me, and completely having merged your mind in me, you will definitely evolve, you will rise, you will become me. But if you are incapable of that, if your mind is so difficult to control, which he had already expressed earlier, it's very difficult to control the mind, and Krishna also agreed. Again, compassionately as teacher, I agree that this is difficult to control the mind. But with abhyasa, you can attain that. Practice and practice and practice till you learn to focus your mind on me. Abhyasa yogena tato, he said. At least by abhyasa you try. In that also, if you are asamartha, you cannot do that, then do one thing, do whatever you have got to do, mat karma paramoba, do it for my sake. Mind is here and there everywhere. All right, don't worry about meditation, don't have to sit for long hours thinking of me, focusing on me. Just whatever you have got to do, you have got to study, you have got to sing, you have got to eat, you have got to play, everything you do for my sake. Because when you do things for my sake, through that also you attain me. There is a process, of course, how you attain. Because you are continuously doing for God's sake, you develop kinship, as I explained to you. You so start with Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. You slowly reach there only. Because you are doing everything for God's sake. Even if you are not able to think of me all the time and do everything for my sake. Now I am brushing, how do I do brushing for God's sake? How am I having bath? How do I think that this is also for God's sake? I am in a great hurry rushing somewhere, I forget God at that moment. We saw how Narada forgets God. Even for a small task, carrying a pot of oil on his head, he doesn't remember Krishna at all or Narayana at all. So we can get into that also. If you are jobless, I have nothing to do, we can chant name. If you are busy with something, you forget God at that moment. So what do? He said, okay, all right. At the end of the day, can you do this for me? Can you just offer everything to me and forget the results? Give up the results of the actions. If you do that for me, at least by that, slowly, you will again attain me. You depend on me to be an instrument of mine and just do what I need and forget the results. Whatever comes out of it, good, bad, does not matter. So you will attain samadhi, you will attain samabuddhi, and that way also you can reach me. So he allowed that path also. Consider it and explain to him, instead of simply doing things for the sake of it mechanically, you do it with some knowledge of why you are doing. But instead of doing just mere dry knowledge about things, do it with the feeling, with the understanding of why you are doing things. And ultimately, beyond that, the easiest is renounce the fruit of all actions. And that way also you will attain me. I'll give you a small example. Every day I am quite strict with the bhajan boys, you are quite aware, and almost they are having sleepless nights. Isn't it? Little bit. Some Bhaya Bhakti should be there. If Bhaya is there, Bhakti is not there, not good. If Bhakti is there, Bhaya is not there, that is also not good. So Bhaya Bhakti both should be there. Bhaya of what? Of displeasing God. So that is there. Yesterday this boy came and asked me, what bhajan should I sing? I told him, why don't you sing this Pandarinatha Panduranga? He was not confident. First thing what he did, he said, Swami, I will sing another bhajan. I told, just now I gave a whole Geetha discourse to you, Mat karma paramoba, and you are coming and arguing with me. Sing whatever I say. Who are you? Why are you applying your mind and buddhi? See, that is why Krishna said, mind and buddhi giving to me is very difficult. At least do things for my sake. So straight away I brought him down to the second level and said, forget, you should have just put your head down and say, as you say, Swami. But what he said, no, I have not practiced that bhajan, I don't know. So mind is working, buddhi is working, you see, analyzing whether it will come out well, not come out well. Anyways, I said, Mat karma paramoba, just do it for my sake. And karma, he did. Finally, he pushed himself to do thinking, I'll do it for Swami's sake, though I don't like this bhajan, I have not practiced. And now what happened? Though he sang for my sake, but somewhere little doubt was lingering whether I will really deliver this or that is the line I forget, and that is exactly went and slipped. Yeah, that is why I say, Yamati sa gatir bhavet. As you think, so is what will happen. That is how it will happen. So he was doubting himself, samshayatma. But anyways, at the end again I am advising him what? Sarva karma palatyagam. It's all right. At least I am happy that you sang because I told you to sing. You did not sing because you wanted to sing. You actually did not want to sing also. Like Arjuna did not want to fight the war. He said, no, I don't want to fight this war. And Krishna called him all kinds of names, including you are worse than a woman. You're shivering, better you be at home. Wear bangles. All kinds of things Krishna scolded him like that. But still, compassionately also Krishna taught him how to overcome his fear, overcome his anxiety, overcome his apprehensions and still go and fight the war. Because Arjuna went pale. If you read the first chapter, Arjuna, Vishada Yoga, he went pale, he got fever, his Gandiva fell from his hand, he knelt on the floor. He was so afraid, so apprehensive about this war. But Krishna slowly encouraged him over 11 chapters, encouraged him, gave him Vishwarupa Darshanam to say that don't worry, you are not killing anybody. Everybody is already killed. They are already inside me. Nobody is being born, nobody is dying. All this is just an illusion. Everything I am, death and birth are just an illusion. So don't worry, you just do your dharma as a Kshatriya. Because only through dharma you will attain me. So he kept on telling him that, and Arjuna came to this status. So now came to the question of sarva karma palatyagam. Even if Arjuna wins the war or loses the war, it should not be the consideration for Arjuna. The very fact that he fought the war on behest of Krishna, at the command of Krishna, is good enough qualification. That is why if you go back and see last sloka, as you come to the end of Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? Before the last sloka, he says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Forget what your duties are, what your not duties are not. Just come to me and take refuge. Refuge to me means whatever I say you will do. Because you have come to me with that mindset. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami maashucha. Don't worry. Even if you make a mistake, even if you have done papas, I will forgive, I will redeem you of all the things. As long as you don't consider the duties and the results of the duties and just come to me with surrender, I will take care of that also. So sarva karma phalatyaga, forget the dharma, forget the phala, just come to me with complete surrender. I will take care. You sang one note wrong, all right, you can sing tomorrow also. I am not going to stop you from singing because you did it for my sake. You didn't do it for the sake of a group leader or your bhajan leader, for none of their sake. You did it because I told you to do it. Even if it did not come out well, I am okay to forgive. Mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Don't worry, I am not going to stop you from singing. You can sing tomorrow, day after also. Why I am teaching you is that, see, this is as practical as this. Bhagavad Gita. What Krishna said is as applicable to us as this. I didn't want to do it. I could not give my mind to God. I argued. Nevertheless, I'll do it for God's sake. Even if I don't like it, I will do it. Why? Because I want to do it for His sake. Even after doing, they might be wrong or right. Whatever comes out of it, I do the phalatyaga also because I did my best. And I have left the rest to Him. And when I do this with this feeling, what will happen to me? Maashucha, don't worry. Mokshayishyami, sarva papebhyo. All your sins I will forgive. And I will give you the highest. This is the consideration of Krishna as a teacher. He can't make it easier. And then finally, now we are coming to the last part of the 12th chapter. There are 20 shlokas. We have already done close to around 12 shlokas we have done. And as I explained to you, there are 3 parts. The first part is the ask question answer about which is the better path. Krishna clarifies, better part is take the Saguna Bhakti. Second part is how to go about doing Saguna Bhakti. Can I give my mind to God? Not possible. Can I at least do things for Him? Not possible. Can I at least renounce the fruits of all the actions for God's sake? At least do that, he says. Because that is the best and easiest. So we have concluded the second part of the 12th chapter also, considering that, okay, we should do Saguna Bhakti, and during Saguna Bhakti, if we cannot focus on God completely, at least do things for God's sake alone, not for my sake or anybody's sake. Even after doing things, whichever we do, at least renounce the fruits of all actions. So the second part also is concluded that we should learn now how to renounce the fruit of all actions, how not to be worried about the results of what we are doing, as long as we are doing it with love for God. So such a devotee who develops this kind of a feeling that I am doing everything for the love of God and I am not bothered about what comes out of it, good or bad, he is capable of developing these qualities now. As you listen to these qualities between now 13th to the 20th sloka, Krishna clearly defines which are the qualities of that devotee and why the devotee would be dear to me. And I've already explained yesterday, don't consider yourself a devotee. I have to give you the certification. You can't call yourself a devotee. So what is a devotee is the first question. Whom I love, whom I don't love, whom I love, how much, that question does not arise at all. First question we have to ask is, am I a devotee at all? So that is the standard of devotion that Krishna talks about. And they will sing, it's very simple, every word I am sure you have heard in any number of discourses. These slokas which are to come now.
Adveshta sarvabhutanam Maitrah karuna evacha Nirmamo nirahankaraha Samadukha समदुःखसुखक्षमी
समदुःखसुखक्षमी
सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी
सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी
यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः
यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः
मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः
यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः
यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः.
There are about 20 qualities which are enumerated in these 8 shlokas. But yesterday, very succinctly, Swami pointed out, each of them are not different actually. You have one of them, you will have all of them. It's like you have gold with you. You can get any jewel made. You can have a ring, you can have a necklace, you can have a chain, you can have a bangle. Whatever you want, you can get it done. Like basically here, he is setting a standard for his devotee, which is the highest standard. What is the gold actually which we have to get so that we can get all these jewels made? What is that we need to attain in order to have all these qualities? As I said, if you have one quality, one of these, you will have all the qualities. That gold is nothing but parabhakti, call it parabhakti or call it pragnana, call it oneness and unity with God and unity with all the creation. You know, suppose you reach the mountain top, you can see in any direction. 8 directions you can see and see 8 beautiful things. One side you can see a lake, another side a mountain, another side a forest, another side a town, whatever you want. But all of them are beautiful. But unless you reach the mountain top, you will not be able to see any of these scenes. Like that, it is the question of attaining that level of consciousness wherein these qualities become spontaneous and natural. There is effortlessly you will be practicing them once your level of consciousness is there. Swami always was telling us that man is a triune composite of 3 things: body, mind and Atma. The mind is the medium between the body and the Atma. The mind can be with the body, or mind will be Atma also. When mind is with the body, only animal qualities and animal feelings will are aroused in us. That is what we can experience. Once the mind rises to the level of Atma, you will all experience only divine qualities. So that is what Swami has also explained any number of times, that it is like the mind or the Kundalini Shakti, which is at the lower 3 chakras, it is with the body only. Only when it rises above that, it goes to higher levels. Therefore, all these qualities will become ours if you have this parabhakti. What is parabhakti? You love God only for the sake of God, not for this and that. There is no business, there is no commerce, there is nothing. I love you because you are love itself, nothing else. I love you because that gives me supreme satisfaction, that gives me supreme bliss. So in these 2 shlokas, these qualities are enumerated. Advesta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. If you are truly my devotee, you will not hate anybody. Why you will not hate anybody? Because you have got parabhakti by which you see me everywhere. You see me only in everyone, therefore you cannot hate me. And it is only the negative aspect actually. Advesta, you don't hate. But the positive aspect of Maitri and Karuna, you should develop. You should be friendly to everybody. You should have compassion for everybody. See, that is why Sri Ramachandra, as Swami was telling, Sri Ramachandra, he is his most favorite incarnation, because that kind of Karuna, gentleness. And he was actually called Purvabhashiye Namaha. When he meets somebody, He doesn't expect the other person to first greet him. He himself will greet him. See, look at the gentleness, the humility, the compassion of God. And even if he meets anybody, first thing, he is going to greet, he is going to ask, how are you? At least how are you? So, that quality of Maitri, being friendly with everyone, having karuna, compassion for everyone, these are the qualities. And then he says, Nirmamo nirahankaraha. He does not have ego, he does not have attachment. But that state is not easy to attain unless you reach the mountain top. And everything can happen only by God's grace. See, that is why, as Swami explained, he very clearly says that you do this, I will do everything for you. Nobody, a great sage or saint, nobody has attained that highest state without the grace of the Guru, without the grace of God. Without that, nobody can attain. Even in our own, we are all very, very fortunate. We saw that ascent of Madhusudan into Madhusudan Sai. How did it happen? You ask him, he will say, it is sheerly compassion of Swami. Sheerly compassion of Swami. He took compassion on me. So let me bless him. So, yame vesha runute tena labhyaha. We cannot attain him. He has to come down and embrace us. Otherwise, there is no way we can. So, nirmamo nirahankaraha, no attachment, no ego. And sukha dukkha kshamakshami. He will enjoy equanimity. He doesn't exult in success and pleasure. He will not despair in failure or pain because everything he receives as prasadam from God. It is your prasadam. Good happens, it is your prasadam. Bad happens, that is also your prasadam. And then comes santushtaha, and he is content, ever content with whatever he has. He has no demands. Whatever he gets, he is content at that point of time. It is your will, you have given me. Satatam yogi means all the time his mind is merged in God. Yoga means merging the mind. Yoga, join. Santushtaha satatam yogi yomad bhakta same priyaha. One who is having all these qualities is very dear to me. That's what he says. Yathatma drudanishchaya. Yathatma drudanishchaya means he is self-controlled, like tortoise, which can withdraw its senses, the limbs, whenever there is some danger. He knows how to withdraw himself into himself so that he will not commit any mistakes. He has got complete sense control, drudanishchayaha, and he has got the very firm conviction and determination. For what? The determination is that I want only God and nothing else. I don't want this world. I want only God. That he is rooted in that determination. That's what it means.
Yasmanno dvijate lokaha.
Yasmanno dvijate lokaha.
Lokanno dvijate chayaha.
Lokanno dvijate chayaha.
Harshamarshbhayodvegaihi.
Harshamarshbhayodvegaihi.
Mukto yassa cha me priyaha.
Mukto yassa cha me priyaha.
He will not be cause for anxiety for anybody. That is one thing. He is not going to create that kind of anxiety or kind of fear or worry in anybody by his thoughts, actions, or words. At the same time, he will not get anxious with whatever happens in the world. The first thing is in our hands. The first one, Swami asked me this question some time back here. The Swami chanted this particular first line of this shloka and said, fine, the first part is in your hands. You don't want to hurt anybody. You don't want to create anxiety for anybody. That's fine, that is in your hands. But somebody else can create anxiety for you. He may come and shout at you. He may hurt you. He may harm you. You may get anxious. How do you do it? I only prayed to Swami and it came from inside. I have surrendered to Swami. So whatever happens is His will. Therefore, I will not get anxious. That's all. Once you have surrender, you will not get disturbed by anything that happens. See, that is a real hero. That is true courage. Because that is why Swami often says, humility in success and courage in failure. See, they are the qualities of a true human being. No? Getting arrogant when you succeed and then getting into despair when you fail, that is not the way of the heroes. A true hero is one, he is very humble in success. When everybody comes and praises him, congratulates him, he says, it's all God's prasadam, it's all God's grace. At the same time, when he fails, he is very courageous. He says, Swami wants me to learn something from this. So that is what it is. And then comes the second line, Harshamasha Bayodvegaihi Mukto Yas Sachame Priyaha. He says, you should be free from these three qualities, these feelings, emotions. One is Harsha. Because somebody comes and praises you, you should not really, feel so happy, oh, he is praising me. Somebody gives you something. Oh, see, it doesn't make any difference because you have the highest treasure of divine bliss in you because you are connected with God. Therefore, what does it matter? Something comes, something goes. It is not going to affect you. And Amarsha means envy and jealousy. You won't feel envy against anybody, and he will not feel jealousy against anybody because he has everything. There is nothing he doesn't have. Therefore, there is no reason for him to feel jealous about somebody else. And Udvega again means anxiety. One who is free from these three, he is very, very dear to me. That's what he says.
Anapeksha Shuchir Daksha
अनपेक्ष शुचिर्दक्षा
Udasino Gatavyatāha
उदासीनो गतव्यतः
Sarvarambha Parityagi
सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी
Yo Madbhaktas Same Priyaha
यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः.
This particular shloka is very, very dear to Swami. I have heard Swami quoting this in the last 50 years, at least 100 times I have heard in public discourses. So this is very, very dear to him. So again, here are a few qualities of a devotee about whom God is pleased, about whom Swami is pleased. Anapekshaha, he has no desires. He has no selfish desires of his own. He doesn't have any desires of his own. Suchihi, he is pure outside and inside. The purity inside is the oneness of thought, word and deed. Kaya, vacha, manasa, we should have one thing only. That is absolute sincerity. That is the first quality of a spiritual aspirant or any devotee. See, generally, for various reasons, because he is dealing with people in the world, there is variation and divergence between our feeling, thought, word and deed. We feel something, we say something, do something else. So the first attempt is to make it same, 1, 2, 3. You also know when you deal with people, you can easily make out whether he is speaking from his heart or speaking from his head. When somebody speaks from head, there is going to be variation. When somebody speaks from the heart, you immediately know that he is very, very sincere in what he is saying or what he is doing, what he is feeling. And dakshaha, this is very important because as Swami has said, yogaha karmasu kaushalam is the first step of karma yoga. Before you develop samatva, before you develop ishwararpana karma, before you develop karma palatyaga, whatever you have to do, do it perfectly to your own satisfaction. And naturally, once you are satisfied, God is also satisfied. So this kind of efficiency in work is very, very important for my devotees. See, this is where actually Krishna is different, as Swami said. Generally, our concept of a devotee is that, somebody who is sitting, doing bhajans, closing his eyes, always immersed in that emotion. No, God is not satisfied, Swami is not satisfied, Krishna is not satisfied. Whatever work you do, you should do it perfectly, like what he was telling just now. You are singing a bhajan, you should do it perfectly. So in whatever you do, you should be a daksha, suchir dakshaha, anapekshaha, suchir dakshaha, udasino gatavyataha. Udasina means you are unconcerned about what happens. Like Swami was telling, you may sing well, you may not sing well. Don't bother because you are doing it for me. Just for my sake. You are not concerned of the result. You have done karma palatyaga. You don't get vexed when something goes wrong. Gatavyataha. That is, see, once you are unconcerned, you don't have any vyata. You will not have any worry. Udasino gatavyataha. Sarvaramba parityagi means, it doesn't mean, literally if you take that, it only means one who will not start any work. That's what it means if you go word by word. But what Swami means here is that he will not take up with a selfish motivation. See, that is the thing. He is doing it for my sake, or he is doing it for lokakshema. He is not doing anything for himself. He is not going to start doing any work for himself. Unless told by Swami, this is the action, this is the project we have to take up, this is the work we have to do. He is not going to take up any selfish motivation, egocentricity. He is not going to take up any work. Only motivation is, I want to please Swami. I want to do Swami's work. I want to do everything so that it in some way helps someone and helps in lokakshema.
यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि
यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि
न शोचति न काङ्क्षति
न शोचति न काङ्क्षति
शुभाशुभपरित्यागी
शुभाशुभपरित्यागी
भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः
भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः.
It's the same thing. He has absolute state of samatva or equanimity. Something, happens which, success, he doesn't enjoy or he doesn't exult in that. Na krushyati, na dveshti. Something which he does not like happens, he doesn't hate it. Na shochati, he is not worried or he will not feel grief for something, when things go wrong. Na kankshati, because he doesn't have any desire. See, this is what actually Sadguru Madhusudan Sai has written in the book, in the story Divine, when he had the vision of Shiva in Kailas, when they went to Manas Sarovar. Shiva asked him, Pucho, ask what you want. And then Madhusudan told Shiva, when will all this misery end? When will all this misery end? See, that question itself shows the very deep aspiration, spiritual aspiration. When will this misery end? The misery of individual existence, the misery of body consciousness, the misery of consideration of sorrow, grief or happiness, consideration of failure or success. And Shiva said, very, very succinctly, he said, when you feel the one who loves you and one who hates you is one and the same, you should feel that. Second, one who praises you or one who blames you, you should know that it is one and the same. They are not two different people. Similarly, one who hurts you or helps you is one and the same. Till you reach that, misery will not end. Means what? You are seeing God everywhere. You are seeing God everywhere, therefore, somebody comes and helps. You are not really, you don't feel happy. God is helping. And somebody comes and takes away something, God has taken away. There is the little experience of a great sage in Himalayas. I mean, this happened, this is what Swami Vivekananda has narrated during his experience. There was one great yogi. He was sitting and meditating, and it was very cold. But he didn't have much, covering on his body. Some devotee brought a blanket and placed it at his feet. And he was already, the sage was immersed in meditation, and he went away. And after some time, he opened his eyes and saw the blanket, but again went back into meditation. And his disciple was watching all this, sitting there. After some time, some fellow came and he saw this yogi is immersed in himself. He took away the blanket. The disciple just kept quiet because he didn't want to disturb the guru. After some time, the disciple, he came out of his the divine consciousness, came down to body consciousness. The disciple said, Guruji, this is what happened. One fellow came and kept blanket, another fellow took it away. Both are same, he said. One who gave it also was same. The other who took it away also is same. No, Swami, they are two different people. No, it is both are God only. God only gave me, God only took away. That's what he said. So that kind of, samatva buddhi is the quality of a devotee who is dear to God. And Shubha Shubha Parityagi also means the same thing, that nothing is real auspicious for him, nothing is inauspicious for him. Everything is same because everything comes from God.
Samashatrau cha mitre cha
समशत्रौ च मित्रे च
Tatha manapamanayo
तथा मानापमानयोः
Shitoshna sukha dukkheshu
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु
Samasanga vivarjitaha
समसङ्गविवर्जितः
Tulya nindastutirmauni
तुल्यनिन्द्यास्तुतिर्मौनी
Santushto yena kenachit
सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित्
अनिकेतस्थिरमतिः
अनिकेतस्थिरमतिः
भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः
भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः.
The first shloka again focuses on the quality of equanimity or samatva. What it means, he is same to both the friend and the foe. First of all, he does not have any foe. He does not have any enemy as far as he is concerned because he loves everybody. But there may be somebody outside, who may consider him as an enemy. But even towards him, he is one and the same. So there, there is a little question that arises. Even Rama fought a battle with Ravana and killed him. At the same time, Rama was so very kind to Lakshmana or Hanuman were around him. Was he really same? How do you say he is same? See, that is where this is an internal quality, but externally, Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha. He did what ought to be done at that point of time. How to deal with a person in the world, there is dharma. He followed dharma. What was the dharma? Ravana came and took away his wife. So naturally, he did not hate him. That's very important. In his heart of hearts, is one and the same. That is why in Valmiki Ramayana, Rama is given one, title like Ripunam api Vatsalaha. He was loving his enemies also. That is exemplified on the penultimate day of fight between Rama and Ravana. The previous day, next day he killed Ravana. Previous day what happened? The Indra sent the chariot to Ravana. Otherwise, Rama did not have a chariot, whereas Ravana was having a chariot, he was not having a chariot. And he sent his own Sarathi, charioteer Matali, with his Indra's chariot. And Rama, he got onto the chariot, fought the battle. He destroyed the chariot of Ravana. He destroyed the arrow and bow of Ravana. Ravana standing at point blank range in front of Rama. Rama could have one arrow, he could have killed him. What he says, you are tired. You don't have a weapon in your hand. Go back, take a rest and come back tomorrow morning. That's what he says. That is when Valmiki says, Ripunam api Vatsalaha. Means even for enemies, he is very kind. It is not only that. After death, what happens? Ravana is killed. Who has to perform the last rites? Because all his children are gone. Indrajit is gone. Akshay Kumara is gone. Who is going to? Only Vibhishana has to perform. So Rama called Vibhishana and told him, you go and perform the last rites of Ravana. Vibhishana said, no, my mind does not accept. You are such a wicked person. I don't want to do it. Then what Rama says, he is your brother, therefore he is my brother also. If you are not going to perform the last rites of Ravana, I am going to do it. If you don't do, I am going to do it. Maranantani vairani. All hatreds end with death. When somebody is dead, he is no more your enemy. Maranantani vairani. And he praises Ravana, Mahatma Lokaravanaha, he says. So that is why, what it means is, the internal feeling is samasyatraucha mitrecha. But in the external world, you have to do dharma. As long as you have some responsibility. So you have got a responsibility for an institution. You have to safeguard the interest of the students or teachers or whoever is working or your colleagues. Somebody is harming, samasyatraucha mitrecha, come on, take away everything, you can't say. Who can do it? A sarvasanga parityagi can do it. Like that yogi, in the Himalayas, somebody gives something, takes away, no, it doesn't matter. If you are a Paryurajaka, a Sampurna Sannyasi, you can do it. You can be equally even in outside also, because that is the dharma of a sarvasanga parityagi. But as long as you have some responsibility, you have a family, you have to protect. You have an institution, you have to protect. You have a job to do, you have to do it. So this is the practical aspect of this. Being equal to enemy and also friend, all of us who have some responsibility will have to understand, anybody comes, you keep smiling, it is not the thing. Internally, bhava is Advaita bhava, but when you come to the world of action, it is Dvaita bhava only. You can't, everything is same and you can't escape from doing your duty. This is what Krishna told Arjuna also, the same thing. See, that is why Arjuna gets confused. Arjuna asks, you say Advaita Sarvabhutanam, you also tell me to kill him. How do they go together? That part I would request Swami to explain. How do they go together? That is what the answer is. Internally, you should love everyone, but externally, even with love, like a teacher punishes the student, my father punishes the son, not with hatred, not with anger, but with love only. So that is what samasyatraucha mitrecha. But next line, it says aniketaha stiramatihi. Aniketaha means what? Aniketa means, actually means homeless. A homeless man is called aniketa. You can call them aniketaha. But this is not what Krishna means. What he means is, you don't have one home in one place. The whole world is your home. You have the kind of broad-mindedness, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is my family. You have your home everywhere. This applies to Swami so clearly. You go to any home, there is a room for Swami. Devotees with so much love, they do it. The best place in the house is reserved for Swami. Aniketa means he, because he doesn't have only one home. He has got home everywhere, or the whole world is his home, and tomorrow he has to simply sleep under the sky. That is also his home. And Stiramatihi, and he has got a determined mind, a steady mind, and such a devotee is dear to me. Yes.
ये तु धर्मामृतमिदम्
ये तु धर्मामृतमिदम्
यथोक्तं पर्युपासते
यथोक्तं पर्युपासते
श्रद्दधाना मत्परमः
श्रद्धदाना मत्परमः
भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियः
भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियः.
In this last shloka of the Bhakti Yoga, you see the glory and majesty of a true Guru or Jagat Guru. He is telling, I have given you Dharma Amruta. I have not given you some teaching. I have given you Dharma Amruta Midam. It is the Amruta, nectar of Dharma I have given you. Krishna knows the value of the teaching. So that, Arjuna also will understand. It is not ordinarily that, these things I have told you. This is the very nectar. Whichever devotee, he practices this teaching of mine with Shraddha and Bhakti. Shraddha Dana Mat Paramaha. With complete sincerity of purpose. In letter and spirit, both. He does it, everything in letter and spirit. And then he will be the dearest devotee to me. The Shraddhadana Matparama means always he is having his supreme goal as God realization, merging in God, becoming one with God. So that goal is set in his mind. With all these qualities, he is my true devotee whom I love. Yomad Bhakta Same Priyaha. He is such a devotee is very Ativa Bhakta Ativa Me Priyaha. Means what? See, earlier you were saying Yomad Bhakta Same Priyaha. But here he says, he is very, very, very dear to me. Who is very, very dear? Whatever I say, he accepts with complete faith and surrender. See, that is what it means. Forget about all other qualities. I tell you, most of them are beyond us, generally. But at the same time, one thing you have to understand is, why he is setting that high standard? Because generally we get only the opposite qualities, right? Opposite feelings. Advesta, he says. But we get only hatred for others. Somebody, little hurts our ego, immediately we hate them. And little things going wrong will upset our samatva. Equanimity is gone. So why he has told all this is, oh no, what I am doing is wrong. At least that kind of feeling I should get. You suddenly get hatred for somebody, immediately, no. That is not correct, because Swami has said he doesn't want me to hate anybody. I lose my balance, when something goes wrong. At least after some time you should realize, Swami doesn't like this, let me not. And at the same time, once you have gold, you get all jewels. At the same time, get a jewel, then you have got gold also. Means what? Try practicing any of these qualities, you will get that state of mind also. See, both ways, as Swami says, a road which connects A to B, it will also connect you from B to A. Therefore, either you start practicing these qualities, you will reach that parabhakti state, or you develop parabhakti and automatically you will get these qualities.
Exasperated, too many qualities to inculcate. That is why I said at the beginning only, Kinchita. I know if I have to tell you, unless you develop all these qualities, you are not dear to me, all of you will get into depression. That this is not possible, at least not in this birth, probably some other birth. That is why in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita I said, Bhagavad Gita kinchita dita. That is enough. Kinchita, Shankaracharya said compassionately. At least a little bit. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya. At least a little bit of this dharma, you know. He said, Dharmamritam midis. This is dharma's amruta, the essence, the rasa, bhakti. That is why whole Bhagavad Gita's dharma is bhakti. God realization, God love for God. And in that also I am saying, at least little bit, kinchita you practice. One quality you take and practice. Put your sincere effort, Shraddha, he said. For whose sake? Matkarm, matparamo. Do it for my sake, not for you to impress the others around you that I have become better. Not even for your own sake. Do it for my sake. Even one little bit of this, I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied. So all the qualities you have gone through, and if you don't get doubts about these qualities, then you have not heard this Gita properly. Because you should get one doubt on each quality at least, each one of you. Oh, anapeksha means should I desire for this or not desire for this? Tomorrow should I tell Swami, look at me, or should I not pray that also? Day after should I pray that Swami should give me chance to sing bhajan, or that should I stop that also? Day after should I ask Swami whether I can come for satsang, or should I not ask that also? List will go on. So that is why I am not telling you everything today. I want you to go back and study these qualities. Come back, I will answer your questions. But how this is possible? You say, as he says, Shatraucha Mitraucha, both. So tomorrow if an enemy country attacks us, they're all divine. Isn't it? Why should we have an army at all? Because it doesn't matter. Can you go and sing there? Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya. As long as the other fellow is dying, you can preach this. If the death comes to you, all this preaching disappears. Alva. Sama dukha sukha kshami. Sukha comes, oh, I am very equanimous. Dukha comes, equanimity disappears next moment. Yatha mana apamana. Mana comes, I am not affected by it. Apamana comes, I am the first to get affected. Isn't it? So, I want you to go and sit down and think, in this situation, in my life, I have gone through this situation. I am sure all of you. When one of these qualities, the negative side of it at least has affected you. Positive side, if it's not affected you, it's possible because you're living in ashram. Somebody praises you, you may pass it on to Swami saying that it is Swami's grace. But when somebody blames you, what have you done? You have to ask yourself. When sukha comes, you praise Swami, that's God, Swami, your grace, I've done well in the exam, I've got good marks. But when you fail, what is your attitude is my question. When somebody is friendly to you, you are friendly to him. And you say, by Swami's grace, in good ashram, we are good people, I have good colleagues and friends. Somebody who is not good to you, be a colleague, a friend, or a neighbor, what is your reaction then is my question. I am not at all talking about the positive side, because I know so many of you are capable of dedicating all the positive to God. In fact, in the world it is the other way around. All the positive they dedicate to themselves, negative they dedicate to God. Only one father was there, whose son won a medal in the game sports. So he came and showed father, I won a medal in some race or things like that. Father got so happy, he just came back from office, he called his wife and said, see what my son has won. Look at this gold medal in the running race. Wife said, he only told you half the story, the other half, his marks card also has just arrived. He has failed in all subjects. He said, that is because he is your son. Your son fails, but my son wins. Most of the world uses the opposites in the other way. When something good happens, yes, I worked quite hard, you see, that's why I got good marks. Something goes wrong, the teacher is, I tell you, he doesn't give marks at all. I don't know what he thinks. He hates me. He targets me. He victimizes me. You see? All kinds of things. The negative side, we start blaming everybody. So, those so many qualities have been told. Beautiful qualities. Each one of them it takes a life to practice. But still I am telling you, I make your homework even easier. I am not concerned about your positive side, because I know most of you, most of the times, have dedicated your positive things to Swami's grace only. Very little have you kept for yourself. Most of you. But when it came to negative, how many of you could think there is Swami's will in it? That is the question I want you to think about. Okay? That is the first homework, because after a class you have to have some assignment, isn't it? So this is the assignment. First you think, have I experienced these positives and negatives in my life? Yes or no? Definitely answer will be yes. In yes, what I have done, in good times what I have done, you will remember 99% with little ego somewhere was there, but most of the thing theoretically at least I knew that Swami is the reason behind all the good that has happened in my life. To some extent you can practice that. If you have not practiced that and you have always considered you are the reason behind everything, then you have a long way to go. But if you have at least thought in 99% of the times when things happen good to you, it was Swami's grace only that it has happened to me. Though there is 1% ego somewhere, I will allow that. That all right, you put some effort. But largely you believe it is Swami's grace. But when things did not go right for you as you wanted, as you expected, what was your reaction then? Why did you react like this? Is the question, this is the assignment for you to go back and think. Okay? Yo na hrishyati na dveshati. Na hrishyati means I give you, you have to do this work. Oh, I love to do this work. Everybody will come to know I am doing this work. But I give you some work which you don't like. Now, dveshti also is important. Oh, this is something I never wanted to do. Swami has given this work only to me, of all the people. Na shochati, na doesn't feel, na kankshati, doesn't desire, doesn't feel sorrow. My question is that you go back and go through each of these qualities and think of the situations, both the positive side and the negative side. Why you behaved in a certain way. And as I said, the clue is, most of the positive times you would largely be dedicating it to God's grace or something higher than just yourself. At least that much you should have learnt in these institutions by now is my hope. If you have not learned that, then I think we'll have to redo the whole chapter again with a new perspective. But my perspective that you know something, some basics, that all this is God's grace. But how many of us took the negative also as God's will? That is the question you must go and answer to yourself, and each to himself or herself. There is nothing like two people's experience will be the same. They will have different experiences. And I know more than anything else. I definitely get letters of praise and thankfulness, gratitude when things are right. But more than that, I get letters of complaints, even threats. I shall not worship you. You are no God. You have no compassion. This is not from today. This has been there from ages. All devotees. Even the best of the devotees, Tyagaraja, Bhadrachala Ramadas have said, they also in their moment of weakness, when they went through the other side of the things, apamana, dukkha, dvesha, they also reacted. How did they react? You are no God. You have gone deaf. Don't listen to the poor people's pleas. All kinds of things I have heard. That is why I am saying I have heard the positive side also from the devotees and students, and I know most of you have dedicated the positive to Swami or God's grace or parents' blessings or something higher than just about yourself. Well, if you have claimed credit entirely for one's own effort, that is not there mostly in our crowd. Outside or other people might be of that nature. But other side of the story, how many of you have taken it with equanimity, not blamed God, but accepted with humility as the will of God and tried to see what is God trying to teach me? What is the lesson in me, in it for me? How do I overcome, even if I call it a test? So how have you fared in those times is the question you must go and answer. That is the assignment from this, because I don't think there is much explanation on these aspects. These are all very simple simple qualities, but they take a life's effort to practice and perfect it. Other side is last. See, so beautiful is the 12th chapter. First 5 shlokas concluded. Next 7 shlokas concluded. Last 8 shlokas concluded in the last shloka. What is that? Yetu, those who, dharmyamritam idam. This nectar of dharma, this nectar of the teachings. How do they practice? Yathoktam. The way I have told, the way I have intended. Those who practice like that, not like this father. Gold medal, my son. Bad marks, your son. Yathoktam, the way I have mentioned to you, in the same way, how many paryupasate? Those who have, those follow. Not twist it, turn it conveniently to suit their. You don't work hard, you fail in the exam. Bhagavad Ichche. Suddenly, Advaita, Samatva Bhava comes. That is not Yathoktam. The way I intended it to be. In the same way, how many of you practice? That is why the difference in the last sloka. See, every single word is potent with tremendous meaning. Not simply said. All the way, Yomat Bhakta Same Priyaha, Mukti Muktoya Sachame Priyaha. Always Priyaha, Priyaha, Priyaha. Dear, dear, dear. Here, Ativa Priyaha. Dearest. Dearest of the dear they are. That's why I said, does Swami love me more than the other person, less than the other person? First question, am I a devotee to be loved first of all? Second thing, even if I am following this, am I following it with the right intent as Swami wanted me to follow? Yathoktam. The way Swami wants me to do it, in spirit and letter, am I following it to that extent? In that, those who do this, with Shraddha, with complete dedication, sincerity, faith, they alone become dearest to me. Others may still remain dear. Because why they are dear? At least the good part of it they dedicated to me. So what if they reacted negatively in the negative part? At least 50% they have done well. So they are dear to me. Mad Bhakta Samepriya. But those who have done Yathoktam, the way I intended, the way I said, those who have followed it to that extent, Ativa Me Priya. They are the dearest to me. Because they have taken care of both the sides. Not just about Adveshta. It's also about Maitra Karuna. You don't hate, as he said, is first part. But also develop love and affection for the other person who is hating you. That is the second part. Isn't it? How do you do that? A rishi was passing by a forest, a sannyasi, mendicant. Now, sannyasis are meant to beg and eat. They are not supposed to engage themselves in any activity, be it business or be it any kind of earning. So when he was passing by, every sannyasi has gone through this. People throw stones, they call names. So as he passed, so many of these village boys, young boys, they came and started teasing the sannyasi and calling him names, throwing stones, throwing sticks at him. But sannyasi is only smiling and blessing. So they called even more, blessing. Finally they got fed up torturing the sannyasi and came and told, how is it that we are torturing you from that time? We are calling you names, we are insulting you, we are hurting you, yet you are smiling and you are not hurting us back. You are not getting angry. You are not shouting at us. You are not beating us. You are not retaliating. How? He said, you can give me what you have. I can only give you what I have. You have anger and hatred towards me, you can only give me that. I accept. Because you don't have anything else to give me. I accept that also. But I only have love and compassion. I only have good feelings and blessings for you. So that is what I am giving you. I am not here to react and retaliate because I don't have that in me. That is the highest level of yogi. He doesn't contain any dveshta at all. He is only filled with maitra and karuna. So maitra, karuna, the one who has, how can he have a dveshta for anybody, you tell me? Dvesha comes only when you don't have the feelings of maitra and karuna. If your heart is always full with maitra, friendship and karuna, compassion, how can you ever get a negative side of thought at all? Isn't it? So this is the first level. I get negative thought, first I let me control and also try to develop the positive thoughts. Till a stage comes when my heart is only filled with positive. There is no negative thought at all. Krishna will have to cut down his discourse by half. He need not say Adveshta. He straight away should say Maitra Karuna. Because he knows my devotees don't have the idea only of what is Dvesha. So why should I even waste a word called Adveshta? But Krishna knows that my devotees are not yet perfect. They have both the Dvesha on one side and also they have to develop Karuna on the other side. So first I have to teach them, get rid of the negative. Empty your vessel with all the negativity and fill it with the pure Karuna and compassion and friendly feeling. So he has described both. That is why you have to understand how beautifully, how deep is this thought. He's just not mentioned one side of the quality. He could have simply said, develop love, compassion, develop surrender. He also said, no? So the other side also he told you, see, you careful, you also can face these situations. But in these situations also you behave well. Yasman no dvijate loko, he was asking. Loka no dvijate chaya. Because of me, nobody should have any problem. I work in an office, I work in a school, I work in my home. I should not be a trouble to anybody. Nobody should be suffering because of my behavior. So to some extent I can control that. But he knows our devotees can behave in a way that will be a trouble for others. That is why he added the first line. Otherwise he could have straight away gone to the second line. Loka no dvijate chaya. You should not be disturbed by whatever happens because of others. He could have just stopped that, said only one line. Why did he use the opposite side also? Because he knew that we are also capable of harming others. Even though we call ourselves devotees. It's possible that we, in our thought, word and action, somewhere, somehow, may hurt someone. So he chose the first line too. And then also he added the second line that, nevertheless, if others also do something to you like this, you should be equanimous. You should not get disturbed. Harsha, amarsha, bhaya, udvaiga. You should be away from these feelings. Try that, is what Krishna is telling them. So ask yourself, how many times it is because of you that somebody else got into trouble or got troubled, and how many times because of others you got troubled, and how did you behave in those situations? Because these are so practical, Bhagavad Gita. This applies in every corporate, every house, every office, everywhere. Does it not apply, these simple things? So how do you do? Only one more thing I'll explain. See, he asked the question, oh, I have to do my dharma. My dharma demands that I kill. Krishna only is telling, kill your grandfather, kill your uncle, kill your brothers, kill your cousins, kill your guru, kill everybody. Whoever you see on the opposite side, just kill. And he says, what are you teaching? I should not have hatred for them. I should be kind, compassionate. You're telling me all this, and at the same time telling me, pick up your bow and shoot. How does it fit together? That is the question. That is very pertinent. That one question I'll answer. The rest of the questions you have to come back with an answer for me. No, I am not talking about Arjuna Krishna scenario. That may not happen. That is again you can apply to Indian army and a foreign army. They have to do their duty or whatever you say with not hate. The entire management team, the CEO to the HR to the all managers, they all came for a meeting at the Mumbai hospital. And so this people were asking about, I was explaining to them about how one should do one's duty with selflessness, should help everyone grow together. It's not about just you, because you can't be happy in a society if others are unhappy. So all this I was explaining. Finally, this lady and question answer sessions came. And this lady was the HR lady, she asked this question. Swamiji, what you're saying is correct. Don't hate anybody. Try to help everyone. Your simple teachings are there. I fully understand. But what will I do as an HR manager if somebody is underperforming, not doing his duty, or let's say not able to do his duty well? And my duty demands that I must get rid of this staff because he's a drag on the institution's performance. He's harming the interests of the institution more than helping here. And as the person in charge, it's my duty to remove the person. But I also know his family circumstances. I also know that if I remove this person today, and if he does not get a job, he has a wife and 4 children or 2 children to look after, and Bombay is an expensive city. God knows when he finds the next job with his kind of inefficiencies, nobody will give him a job. And then what will happen to his wife and children? That worries me as well. So I am at a loss to understand how do I act. See, Arjuna's case is even simpler. It's like Indian Army's case. It is my dharma to kill the other person. Because that is the first duty I have to perform. Externally, I have to perform my duties. A doctor says, "Ayyo, one leg I have to cut. Papa, we lose one leg. Let us not cut. Let the gangrene spread, cancer spread." Doctor will cut the leg out of compassion, like father will punish the child out of compassion. Isn't it? So dharma is not opposite to compassion. With compassion only. For the compassion on many more, he kills a few. For the compassion on the entire country, India, he kills a few foreign soldiers. That is his duty as a dharma of the soldier. So that Krishna is doing that. Now look at this lady's case. It's one more level of complexity. Isn't it? Because she is feeling so bad. What will happen to this man, his family and his children if I remove him from the job? At the same time, he is not able to perform. And therefore, as a duty of an HR department, it's my duty to remove this person. The longer I keep, the longer I am failing in my duty to my company. And I am responsible for it. So how do I apply spirituality here, she asked. See, this is one, as I said, I am explaining the level of complication more than Arjuna. Arjuna is straight clear. They are the opposite side, they are doing adharma. Rama knew Ravana is doing adharma. Okay, I have to kill, that's it. But here, she doesn't want to kill, but at the same time she is stuck with this idea. So I explained to her. See, Mahabharata, this is also from Mahabharata, same Bhishma Parva. So there is a dilemma like this, and Bhishma explains to them. See, Tyajet Purusham Kulasyartham. For the sake of the greater good of the family, an individual can be sacrificed. Gramasyartham Kulam Tyajet. For the sake of greater good of the village or the community, individual, family can be sacrificed. Gramam Janapadasyarthe. For the greater good of the entire country, even the village can be sacrificed. And Atmarthe Prithvim Tyajet. For the sake of God, everything can be sacrificed. So go back to your ultimate goal. What was the ultimate goal of all this Bhagavad Gita or Bhakti? To attain God, to please God. Now you go back and put against the standard of the whole thing, I said. So now basic dharma if you follow also, an individual has to be sacrificed for the sake of greater good of the company. But when you are sacrificing, with what intention are you sacrificing? You check that. Not out of a hatred, not out of a punishment, not out of a feeling of disgust, not out of a feeling of getting rid of that person, some kind of a revenge. No. I am doing it because that dharma of mine demands that I protect the interests of the company. Therefore, having tried everything to improve the person, with pure intentions, I gave that person time, I gave them opportunity to train, develop, yet he is not capable. Not that he is lazy or indifferent, he is just not capable of that job. Unfortunately, I don't have any other job in the company to transfer him to. So I have to get rid of this person. If it comes to that situation, apply this logic. For the greater good of others, smaller sacrifices have to be made. To save the whole body, one gangrene infected leg has to be done away with. At the end, you will still find peace because you have done it correctly. And I always say, intention is more important than the action. Action should be backed by pure intention. If intention is pure, you will be absolved of all the wrongdoings. You will still be a good devotee to God because your intention is clear, is pure. Your intention, I told that lady, if you can find him a job anywhere else, please do so. Otherwise, in your limit, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months salary, whatever you can do as an HR to help. But more importantly, call that person and explain that you are not angry with that person. You are not want to hate that person. It is not a punishment to that person, but you are helpless too. So at least the person will not go with wrong feelings. And he will also learn that I am being removed for these reasons. Therefore, I must go and improve myself or find a job according to my capabilities. So he will also get the right idea in life. So please do it with love, compassion. She was very satisfied. Is it a satisfactory answer? So she was satisfied. She said, yes, it makes sense to me now. So I will call the person, I will talk to the person, tell, see, we tried everything, and these are the reasons why we cannot keep you. You may agree, you may not agree for these things, but then as a bounden duty, I have to do this. Please forgive me if I am causing any sorrow to you. The best I can do is I can give you another month's salary as a severance package, and you please find another job. And I will also try from my friend circle if somebody can get you a job, but this is the best I can do at this time. With clear intentions, pure conscience, don't worry. Then also it is perfectly fine. So you have not hated the person, yet you have done your duty. So how could Rama be compassionate to Ravana? Because he was doing his duty as a dharma. At the same time, he has compassion for Ravana because Kshatriya Dharma demands, you cannot kill another person who does not have weapon. It is a kayartha. It is not courage, it is kayar's job. It is the job of a weak mind, weak Kshatriya. So he won't do that. So call it Vatsalya, call it his Dharma Paripalana, whichever way he did that. Nevertheless, he granted moksha to the Ravana because that was in Rama's hand. You can't say, I am killing you today, but I'll grant you moksha tomorrow, so just get killed for today. But I know of tribes in Chhattisgarh, when they kill an animal for food, no, they kill the animal, they all gather around the animal and perform a ritual, praying for the animal's higher journey, because they know births after births we grow, this is not the end. Praying and thanking the animal for offering his body or its body for them to sustain today, to have their food. Because that is what they eat in jungle. They don't grow vegetables, they are not the agricultural kind of people, they are hunter-gatherers. So they kill the animal, but at the same time they sit down and tell the animal, thank you for offering your body for us to eat today. This is a practice in most of the tribes, I've heard it's in Africa too. And then they eat. See their intention. Of course, animal is dead, it's gone, it's a law of nature, we can't help it. But at the same time, it does purify you. Your mind is clear. You have not done anything wrong to anyone. So, dharma and compassion are not opposite to each other. You do your dharma, that is what the whole thing, Mama Dharma is the Gita's essence. You do your duty. But as a devotee, what should be your attitude while doing the duty? Bhakti Yoga teaches us. The intention, what should be behind doing our duty? Nirmama, Nirhankara, Sangha Vivarjita, Maitra, Karuna. This should be the attitude behind the grotesque of the task also. If you do the most difficult task also, intention should be Maitra, Karuna, Nirmama, Nirahankara, Mat Karmo, Mat Paramo, Karmo. All do everything for my sake. At the end of it, Sarva Karma Palatyaga. I give up whatever happens, I done it for your sake, God. And this is it. So they say that one of the great devotees of Maharashtra was a butcher. And some point in time, I think Samartha Ramadas or somebody was asked who is the greatest devotee. He said there is a butcher who is the greatest devotee. He said, what? A butcher? He kills animals for food? He is the greatest devotee of yours, God? He said, yes, he is. And then like Sakuba is there. She is a great devotee. She makes a cow dung cake. She is an unlettered woman. Why Gopika is the greatest devotee? All of them are great devotees because their attitude, their intention behind whatever they did was only to please God. It was not to harm anyone. If somebody gets harmed in the process because that is what they know to do as a profession, as their dharma, they still do it, but without the intention of actually harming anyone. So the police does not catch thief tomorrow, or army doesn't protect the borders tomorrow, or doctor does not operate and remove the rotting part of the body, or teacher does not pull up the student and correct the child, or if the administrators don't take care that the institutions are not harmed because of somebody's lack of efficiency or interest. They are not being rude, they are not being wrong, as long as their intention is correct. For the greater good of everybody I am doing, and above all, to please God I am doing. This is my duty which has been given. So a judge who sits and pronounces statements, can he not be a devotee of God? Because all the time morning till evening he is pronouncing people to be killed, punished, jailed. So should he cease to be a devotee? He continues to be a devotee of God, maybe a greater devotee because it's such a difficult task. In that situation also if he maintains equanimity and offers everything to God, then imagine his great level of devotion is much, much higher. Ativa Priya will become. But for us to do our daily task with the right intention, without wanting to harm anyone, at least intentionally, if we do, that we will be a good devotees. So work on these ideas. It's so beautiful. That is why I have never tired of speaking Bhagavad Gita's 12th chapter. It never tires me. Because this is what I want. Here if you don't understand Advaita Vedanta, it's alright. As long as you understand Bhakti, you have begun your journey. So it does not matter. Somewhere you begin is what I'm expecting. And I said most of you are good people. You understand most of it. At least as I said, in good times, at least 99% you remember me. If in a good way. That Swami, your grace, this has happened. But in bad times or in a bad situation also, can you derive strength from Bhagavad Gita's 12th chapter? Can you derive courage? Can you derive equanimity from these great thoughts of Krishna? Dharmyamritam, from this amrita of dharma that Krishna has given. And can you try to follow it yathoktam, the way it has been intended and said, without twisting, turning and interpreting it in your own way? And follow it and become the dearest of the devotees of God. So that is the Bhagavad Gita's 12th chapter in its conclusion.
Jaya Pandharinatha Panduranga Pundalika Varada. 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 Jaya Parti Purisha Pavana Nama Prashanti Saisha. 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 Jaya Vitthala Vitthala Pahi. Jaya Vittoba Rakmai. 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 Sriniketan Srinivasa Shritajana Paripala. Sriniketan Srinivasa Shritajana Paripala. Sriniketan Srinivasa Shritajana Paripala. Sriniketan Srinivasa Shritajana Paripala. Paramananda Vigraha Ananda Lola Pandharipura Vasa. Paramananda Vigraha Ananda Lola Pandharipura Vasa. Paramananda Lola Ananda Lola Pandharipura Vasa. Paramananda Vigraha Ananda Lola Pandharipura Vasa. Jaya Parti Puri Vasa. Jaya Parti Puri Vasa. Jaya Parti Puri Vasa. Jaya Parti Puri Vasa. Jaya Pandharinatha Panduranga Pundalika Varada. Jaya Pandharinatha Panduranga Pundalika Varada. Jaya Parti Purisha Pavana Nama Prashanti Saisha. Jaya Parti Purisha Pavana Nama Prashanti Saisha. सा